right, boys. Been a little while since we've done a good old-fashioned afternoon trivia recap on the whiteboard, but today you're getting one. Last week we had 2 afternoon trivias. This week, kick things off with afternoon trivia for June the 9th, 6-9. And I told you at Bear Scott Stadium today, I thought it was going to be a special day with Seatown carrying a 1-game win streak into this afternoon, and just a prime time to be running some afternoon trivia. Let's break it down and talk about what happened this afternoon, because it wasn't anything like historic, but just a lot of fun. And we had some rapid fire. We had some good participation, as you'll see later. And we had some kind of interesting genres, some that we brought back that we hadn't done in a while, and some that I adjusted on the fly. So today we kick things off with homophones trivia, which we haven't done in at least a month. In the past, this has really been a good thinking man's, but pretty fast sometimes, genre for the afternoon trivia. So today, brought it in, and you guys got off to a pretty slow start in this. Even one of our afternoon trivia greats of all time, Andy8010, commenting, "I don't like these questions," doing his best Duck Spank impersonation. So what happens? A little struggle. People couldn't figure out the words and the answers for homophones trivia. So Seatown's streak was broken. 3 straight questions, nobody gets it. General Peters with the first leadoff victory in afternoon trivia today. First afternoon trivia victory in a very long time. So for that one, it was General Peters picking up the game ball, throwing a game ball to myself for the victory. So hell of a job there. We went with the next game, round 2. This is one that, if you listen to the full video today at Bear Scott Stadium, you would have heard me say, as we were doing the outro, 1968 song titles trivia. All right, you would have been ready. And sure enough, you guys were ready. Excellent job. Now, most of you are ready, but it was Mr. Met who made the comment right after I announced that we were doing 1968 song titles trivia. Mr. Met says, in 68, I was in my dad's nuts. So, even that being the case, some of you guys were able to have a great showing this round. We had a 4-4 tie between Andy and John. Steppenwolf Magic Carpet Ride was the game-winning answer, with Andy getting the word magic, and that magic word got him the victory in afternoon trivia. Let's write his name in pink. Why not? Just kidding. So it was Andy8010 getting on the board with a 5-4 victory. All right, NBA Finals Most Valuable Player Award. Now, again, in the Bear Scott Stadium outro, if you're paying attention, you heard me mention NBA Finals. still going on. Might see something today, and you did. You saw it in round 3, and it was Mr. Met choking on Willis Reed, 1970, was it? Gagging. Number 19, and then he said number. He was guessing numbers for the MVPs, and he said this is not number trivia, and it was Andy picking up the victory. Another 5-4 victory. So this one was a 5-4 win. This one, a 5-4 win. The Robito double steal. It was John again with the 4 points. And then we went with more MVPs this time. World Series MVP. This is one that Peters just did on the fly. World Series Most Valuable Player Award. Johnny Padres, the first one, 1955, was one of the answers. And in this one, it looked like Andy was going to pull away, and he did. This time, a lot of separation between the rest of the trivia participants as he gets a 5-1 win and his 3rd in a row. We went with 1985 song titles trivia. This was a good game. All right, this one we had the closing. I believe it was the closing victory answer was one that we've talked about recently. Mike and the Mechanics. All I need is a miracle. You bet. And it was John who did not need a miracle. He won pretty easily here, 5-2. Whoop, let me get the pink here again. So John winning 5-2. Hell of a job. All right. We had 1985 song titles again, back to back, and it was in this round another close one. We had John getting Till Tuesday, Voices Carry. We had, I believe, John getting Just Like Honey, Jesus and Mary Chain. Now that's one trivia anecdote there. I had no idea that song was 1985. I was thinking it was like maybe 1999 or something. It's 1985. You guys know that. A little trivia. John did a great job. It was Andy 80-10 pulling out the win. I think John was up 4-3 in this one, but Andy comes back and gets the win with earning it by getting DeBarge spelling rhythm right, Rhythm of the Night. It was a 5-4. I think someone else had 2 points in that one. All right, we went with Homophones trivia again. I was looking for another victory. Not really. I was looking for you guys to redeem yourselves from round 1. And in round 7, you did. We went with Homophones trivia. These were maybe a little easier, perhaps, but in this one, it was the 5th win of the day for Andy 80-10. Incredible job. Andy winning this one by a score 5-2-1. And then we close it out. Big cash prizes with Chain Restaurants trivia. Chain Restaurants trivia. Again, if you listen to the Bear Scott Stadium video, that was the last thing I said. We haven't done Chain Restaurants trivia in a long time. I've just forgotten all about it. We went back to it. We had back-to-back fried fish restaurants, Long John Silver's, which John got, of course. Captain D's. We kept moving. Red Robin, Longhorn Steakhouse. And in the end, it was one man getting Cold Stone Creamery to wrap it up. And that was none other than the man from Georgia, Andy 80-10, picking up his 6th victory of the day. All right, winning this one 5-2. And if you're scoring at home, that's 18 victories in this month of June so far. In afternoon trivia for Andy 8010, three for John in the month of June. So these guys, this is really the Andy and John show. We had others who really participated and guessed and got some points, but for the most part, it was these two killing it today in afternoon trivia. All right, well, let's get to the participants. All right, so the participants today in afternoon trivia. Before I do that, let me just mention one thing. In round 2, we did 1968 song titles trivia. One of the questions was blank people, Sly and Family Stone. I believe it was John who got that one right. Everyday people. When I posted that, I had no idea that just today, Sylvester Stewart, aka Sly Stone, born March 15th, 1943, sadly passed away today, June the 9th, 2025. Rest in peace, Sly Stone. They say that James Brown invented funk, but Sly Stone perfected it. Rest in peace, Sylvester Stewart. If I'd known, we would have done a moment of silence, but I had no idea, just a coincidence, but a nice little tribute, even unknowingly, maybe just the spirit of afternoon trivia, the afternoon trivia gods, telling us that had to be a question and answer. And thank you guys for getting it right. A little tribute to Sylvester Stewart. All right, the participants today. Now, the participants, if you're there, you count as a participant. All right, so we had Andy 8010 with an incredible performance. He was tested greatly today. 6 wins on the day. Darth Raider. We kick things off at 12:45 Darth Raider time. Darth Raider was not as active as I wanted him to be, but he was participating a little bit. He made a couple of guesses. He was unable to get a point, but Darth was in there. DPCX. So these two here, DPCX and JG53 AOL, as long as you expect them to kind of come on strong with a little chatter, at least towards the end. Not a peep out of these two. So very quiet today from the sideline crew. Mr. Met was not quiet. I mentioned his funny comment. He was also jawing with a couple other chatters. So there was some little jawing going on, a little skirmish. Other than that, a quiet day for Mr. Met. No technicals. All right, no technicals for anybody. All right, so this was a very clean game by you guys. So very good job with sportsmanship and all that, and keeping the showers unused today. Stacy was not present today, so she's usually our shower monitor. And yeah, very clean game, but the host did make a couple of errors. So one of those errors was in 1985, song titles trivia. Now I was playing an Eddie Money LP, Can't Hold Back, 1986. So that's what got me messed up here when I typed blank all the time for party all the time. Eddie Money, it's supposed to be Eddie Murphy. I had to call time. I had to re-ask the question. And I had another error when I called time too early and hadn't said keep going. I think I did that twice. So not the cleanest game for the host, but all right. A very clean game for the contestants. Very good job, guys. The Shockinator. Give him a little check here. Give Andy a check. Shock did get a point in this game. So he came in late. It was on what was that on? I think it may have been on Homophones Trivia. I forgot what it was, but all right. Way to get in there, Shock. And then Johnny with 2 wins. So another strong performance. Not only 2 wins, but if you look here, 3 other games where he was right there. Not gag jobs, but just he was right there with the 4 points. And Andy closed it out. All right, so very strong showing today for John. The rest of you need to kind of follow his example. All right, DNR Manny was another guy who was jawing today during afternoon trivia. All right, and he was also making some guesses today. So Mr. Met was making guesses too. It was just strange guesses, posting uniform numbers instead of names. Fenton Love KU came in. I always forget about Fenton Love, but I did notice something on his name that I haven't really paid attention to before. Love KU. Who do we know that loves KU? All right. So I wonder who this guy could be. He was in and out too. Came in, looked around, ducked out. All right, Fenton Love. Hope to see you next time. Cubbies. Now here's kind of a wild card that I never talk about at Bear Scott Stadium, but he's been participating in afternoon trivia here and there, doing pretty good participation. So Cubbies, Bear Scott. I mean, how can I forget to mention him when I'm at Bear Scott Stadium? Shame on me. Bear Scott Stadium is Bear Scott is a great participant to have in afternoon trivia. And he made some guesses. He got in right after the Michael Jordan one on NBA Finals. So that was one he could have easily had, but he got in too late for it. All right, thanks for coming in, Bear Scott. Eagles 52 came in. Eagles 52. All right, so he was in and in and out. He was in and out. So he was a non-factor today. But good to see Eagles 52. Kari Thaggood, same thing. She came in and said hello, saw trivia was go on, and then she just ducked out. All right, so Kari Thaggood, our lone female contestant, thanks for being in. Kari today. All right. Now notice I never have myself as a participant. Today I'm listing myself as a host. The only host today in afternoon trivia, as well as hosting today the 8 games and making some errors. Also, picking up a victory as well as a game ball for his first victory in afternoon trivia in a long time. All right. So just to recap, afternoon trivia, we had Andy 8010 with 6 victories. We had John with 2. We had General Peters with 1. So a very fun afternoon of afternoon trivia. We had a couple repeats, homophones, okay, so English language related. And then we had 2 sports, okay, 2 sports related, the MVPs. 3 entertainments, all music. 2 of them repeats. All right, so we had 2 repeats here and 2 repeats here. Then we had the 1 miscellaneous at the end, chain restaurants trivia. All right, we will now get to the big cash prizes and tonight's feature. All right, for the big cash prizes, we had a 2-horse race. For this, I had a third one, but it would have been a throwaway pick. And the 2-horse race was one that's kind of been a leprosy pick, kind of an unheralded leprosy pick. That's A, cauliflower pizza. B was the Subway BLT flatbread. I was kind of feeling this a little bit more, and I thought that the winner of this was the big cash prizes round, the chain restaurants. It was Andy 8010. Sorry, C-Town, you got to come in if you're going to try to get the big cash prizes that you missed last week. And he went with this one here, cauliflower, a little bit of a surprise. I was kind of angling towards this more, but this is the correct pick. Okay, I'm telling you, this is the correct pick. Because now I'm feeling this one more, and this one could be tomorrow, I don't know, but this also brought up some good conversation, and there was even a thing where Andy was like, have you tried the Simple Truth one? I'm gonna look at it in there. Okay, so this is an example, let me be clear, this is an example of not making special requests of something that's not an option, but staying in the same lane and suggesting something that's the same that might be better. All right, that's how you do it, guys. So I will look at the Simple Truth one if they have it, and then at Kroger, and then also look at that and kind of compare what's bigger, price, all this, what it looks like, all this stuff. So, all right. So that's the pick, the big cash prizes pick. Tonight's feature presentation is one that I talked about last week when I was talking about the 1989 Without Reservation film, because this one is done by the same, it's written by the same person. So the director, there's two directors, and they haven't done anything else really. Most of their other work has been more recent, and I'm not going to look into it, but I will consider this film, Invisible Enemies, as a Christian film, Christian fear film. I tried to upload a clip to it, but it was blocked. It's on YouTube. I consider this from the Bill Muir catalog. Okay, so he did Without Reservation, 1989, then he did a great one called The Crossing, 1994, and he did one called One in a Million, 1986, a very short film, which I'll get back to soon. So nice little tight catalog in the name of Bill Muir. So for Invisible Enemies, he was mostly involved with the screenplay and the story. So I think he wrote most of the story. You have Jason Guest, Rebecca Burke, Kelly Robin, Larry Curley, middle name Mo perhaps, and then Bob Penny plays the demon. It's about a young man who finds a pair of glasses that allow him to see the demonic world. Kind of a weird plot, clocking in at 36 minutes long, but this one, it's not great. It's one I'll go back to eventually. I'll probably forget about it and then watch it again. This is the second time I've watched it. Invisible Enemies, 1997, tonight's feature presentation. This, my friends, is in the Christian thriller genre. It also, I give it a lot of credit because it also would qualify for a horror fest film. It does have the horror genre listed on IMDb, and if you watch it, yes, it has definitely got a lot of horror elements. The demon in this is genuinely frightening. So that is a rare, just unique thing for a Christian film. So I give this a lot of credit for the kind of the scarcity of that. So Invisible Enemies, I will go back to it at some point, but great pick by the Cobra, who won the One for All the Marbles. He's been nailing the One for All the Marbles lately, and that was a hell of a pick. I didn't think he was going to go with that, but that's our pick. All right, so that's tonight's feature, and then you have the afternoon trivia recap. We will go into next week. Wait, we got a streak going, a 3-game winning streak next week. Those of you, thanks to the participants who showed up today. Excellent job. Thanks for the talk and all that stuff. Even the bickering kind of adds to the ratings. But for those of you who were not here today, be a big part and come back for the next rounds, and we'll make it happen for a great afternoon of trivia to continue June afternoon trivia. It's going to be awesome. All right, thanks for watching, boys.